So when most people get into video games, they think that the unlocks of the bunch tend to be direct upgrades. Well, you might be surprised with Team Fortress 2. It has the unlocks as side grades and sometimes even as downgrades to the point where you can tell who is a free to play based on the fact that they are using something other than stock. An example of this is a weapon in TF2 called the Sun on a Stick, which does 3 times as much damage as the stock melee for Scout when the enemy gamer is on fire, as well as some fire resistance when deployed. The downside being the minus 25% damage penalty. These stats wouldn't be so bad, but unfortunately they are either extremely circumstantial or overshadowed by other weapons. Although that is an example of only one weapon being worse than stock. There are still many melees for Scout that are objectively better than stock, but the Sun on a Stick, for a specific example, is worse. A better example for this is Soldier's Rocket Launcher, where the unlocks are either directly worse or more situational, although not nearly as extreme as the issue I'm going to be talking about with Scout's primary slot. But before we get started with that, I feel the need to inform you about Team Fortress 2's inventory structure. When you load into a game for the first time, you are going to see 9 characters called classes. These classes have their own special things to them, but for the sake of this video, I will be talking specifically about Scout. Now when you click on Scout, you will notice 3 boxes. These boxes start with the primary slot, the secondary slot, and the melee slot. The primary slot is where the stock Scattergun is. Now that you know a bit about the loadout, you can learn about the Scattergun and what makes this thing a beast. Let's do some comparisons. According to the TF2 wiki, the stock Scattergun does a base damage of 60. Compare this to an unlock called the Force of Nature, dealing 65 damage per shot. That is 5 extra damage. Wow. So this is basically a direct upgrade, right? While unlocks in most video games, where the difference between damage is basically just fire rate and damage, TF2 tends to be a bit more diverse with the stats that can change. This includes clip size. The Force of Nature only has 2 rounds in its clip, which means that half the time you will be reloading.
Wait a minute, isn't it the same with the stock Scattergun?
Yeah, that's fair, but the difference is with the stock Scattergun, you have 6 rounds in the clip. So while you will be reloading half the time, you will only have to reload after 6 shots, which is typically more than enough to get you out of there and reload in a safer position. Compare this to the Force of Nature, where you have 2 shots and that's it. If you don't send the enemy gamer back to respawn with those 2 shots, this leaves you vulnerable, and it will be you going back to respawn.
Well, that was only one example. What about some of the other scout primaries?
Okay then, let's go with the backscatter. According to the TF2 wiki, it does the same amount of damage, has 4 rounds in its clip, which isn't the best, but still good for a single target hit and run. Mini crits enemies when you hit them behind in the back, which is awesome. And then, oh no, plus 20% bullet spread. On paper, you would think, oh hey, that's not so bad. At least I don't have to be as precise. But the thing is that surprisingly, a class like Scout that is focused around shotguns needs to be really precise. And the only upside to this gun is the mini crits from attacking the enemy gamer from behind, but the damage delivered is nothing when one side of your screen has 5 pellets, the other has 4, leaving 1 pellet to hit the enemy. Of course, this is a bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point. With being a light class, you don't have much health, and you already had to get really close to the enemy gamer with the scattergun to be effective. But with this thing, you might as well attach yourself to their body if you want to get damage in. And you can say goodbye to your measly 125 HP with this gun, because as I said before, you have to get really freaking close. So if you see someone using this thing, make sure to bully them thoroughly. It is unfortunately the only way they'll learn. So, what can Valve do to fix this? Well, they can buff a lot of the other scatterguns. They can make the backscatter only have 10% spread, and make it do a full crit from behind. And as for the Force of Nature, it has its moments, and other than increasing the clip size, it's hard to say how to buff it. I'm not sure how to wrap this video up other than to commit to the title of this video. I love using the Scattergun, and it truly is Scout's best weapon. All the times we had together, hitting meat shots on Demo Man and Sniper, all the times I overestimated my ability to kill an entire freaking team with it. Oh, maybe I don't miss that last one so much. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I will see you next time. Also, shout out to this guy for being my 200th subscriber.